Oh boy. So
Hey.
today on Backyard Battles, I'm joined by Joe O'Hara.
Hello, sir.
Hello, ma'am. And we're going to talk about one of my favorite animated series of all time.
Whoa,
And
your favorite?
Yeah, mine.
So
And
rude.
one of my favorite toy lines of all time, too. Real quick, to intro us in, let's go ahead.
Of other introing the characters
Oh, man.
like it's a television, like a real show. I guess there's a lot of complicated names in this show, though. Kind of makes sense.
Oh,
I mean,
the theme song is so good.
It is good. It's no Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Thank God.
I mean, it's really good. There's no awesome lyrics to go with it. That makes
it's Batman
ridiculous,
the animated,
but also endearing.
No, it's Batman the animated show good. That's how good that.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, no, just.
I also really like, sometimes a lot of shows like that back in the day used to put like really good animation in the intro, but then not so good animation in the rest of the show. But that's consistent with what was in the show. A lot of those were shots from the show. Like they just, it was almost like they cut a trailer or something. So I was like, that's pretty, at least they're advertising properly. I'm not like 10 years old going like, no.
Yeah, so one of my absolute favorite shows, and we won't go on too much of a tangent about the episode now, but Exosquad was one of those things that not a lot of people really knew about at the time either, much less now, right? So Joe, flashback 1993, I think. Yeah, and Exosquad had come out kind of undercover with its show, right? And they popped those toys on the shelves. When was the first time you actually saw an Exosquad toy?
I remember this very vividly, actually. Maybe, I mean, so basically my little brother and I were with my mother's cousin, which was a very weird thing. Like, we don't like hang out with her a lot. So she took us out to dinner for some reason, and she took us to Toys R Us afterwards. So like, I have no idea why. It could have just been like, I don't see your family enough. Let me take, or like, maybe you need a night off, single mother, kind of thing. But yeah, we went to Toys R Us, and I remember her going like, you can spend like $5 or something. And at the time, like a G.I. Joe was like $3.50 or something. Like $5 was an okay amount of money, but not like a ton or anything. But those toys were $9.99, and I kind of remember being like, what about this? Kind of thing. Because me and Chris were like, the second we saw them on the shelves, we were just like, this is amazing. What is this thing? I'd never seen the show. Like it was just, we just saw them in the stores first. So like, we basically convinced her to be like, you could spend $10 on both of us. You're not even our mother. And she bought us that, like, she got me Alec De Leon, and Chris got JT Marsh. So we both had like the two main like guys. Of the first line, they were the only two good guys, I think. But yeah, because it was just those two, and I think Phaetona and Typhonus were out at the time, like just this 4 figures. I think Series 2 came out really quickly, and Marsala, the 2-seater walker, came out really quick too after that. But maybe that was like the initial burst of toys or something, because again, it was before the show even came out. I didn't even know the show existed. We just saw these toys and we're like, what are these? These are amazing. I want one so bad. But yeah, I still have that Alec De Leon, the one that's right here in front of us right here. is still to this day, that's the one. I've had it all this time, and I've kept all of his parts except for the tinier antenna that I lost some time ago. So I did a weirdly meticulous job of keeping track of all those tiny little pieces, even his little power cell. Which though you lost those all the time, if you guys remember these toys.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're clear, they're microscopic, you know.
Yeah, they sometimes they don't fit in too snug and they slide out, and you're like you're flying the toy around and like, oh, that's gone.
Yeah.
We did a pretty good job. I mean, I lost mine several times. We did a pretty good job of like combing the carpet with like a jeweler's loop, and like we're like, here it is. Like, we found it. Just suspended on a harness like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like
we had to dredge the bottom of the lake when we recovered the power pack.
We found it. But yeah, man, these toys, and we quickly went on to buy a lot more of them. But like, you know, that was a huge deal getting that back in the day. Getting like a $10 toy for like no reason, like not my birthday or anything, was like, whoa, okay. You know, now I'm like $10. Like, who cares? But yeah, I probably before the show came out. I do remember watching the show every morning. Like I would run downstairs to watch it at like 7 or 7:30 or whatever before school. But once I knew there was a show. But yeah, the toys were always more of a thing. We almost had to invent our own story right off the bat because we didn't know who they were. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we quickly got Phaeton. I think Chris and I both got Phaeton. So I think I put like a mask on mine so it wasn't like the main bad guy or something. Like I put something on his, like a helmet from some other toy line. I stuck over his face so it didn't look like him. And I was like, this is a random bad guy. We just like used him over and over again to blow up. Meanwhile, you know, the other one was really Phaeton or whatever. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So what blew me away, again, like having no attachment to the show, I remember my younger brother's friend came over and he had to save the package to it. And I was like, what are you doing, man? And the art alone in that bad boy was amazing. And you know, it's funny because I had the exact same first encounter as you did, which was Alec Dillion.
Yeah.
And it like he took it out of the package, and like immediately I was like, I completely understand why you have the package, because of all the like 4 missiles and then the satellite piece, all the little red antennas and the pilot, and it came with 2 guns, and I was like, yeah, I get it. And like the more he was like, no, you have to put these in here and this turn, I was like, what is this toy line? Like, what is, and this was when G.I. Joe was dying, like the Neon Age and all that were on the shelves.
It was and also what I mean, we kind of touched on this in our like favorite toys or you know, kind of generally talking about our collections and whatnot. But like the movability of these toys, aside from the solid waist, like no waist articulation, was necessary because they clipped them into the exo frame or the E frames. But like they move just as good as a G.I. Joe. Basically, they had like.
Why didn't you pick up that toy and show it instead of just?
I mean, well, I put some of the figures out, but so they had some of their the smaller figures, or the actual humans inside the E frames. They had like solid waist. They had, you know, some of the like bending knees, ball and socket for their hips, so they could move pretty well. But again, it was kind of a solid piece. But they moved pretty well. I mean, I liked how they worked. It was very similar to G.I. Joe, just slightly smaller. You know, not like a ton smaller, but you could kind of fudge it in your mind and be like, this fits, sort of. You know, especially in the E frame, you could be like, oh, this is flying next to the tank. But yeah, they're really good toys. Like they fit that vibe of what I wanted G.I. Joes to be at that point in time, and took it a step beyond what I ever thought. The engineering in these E frames, especially the earlier ones, some of them get a little cheaper, but like, you know, the motioning pistons in their arms and feet and legs and stuff, and like just everything. Like Alex, like Alion's, his Gatling gun rotates and clicks, makes a clicking sound when you rotate it. Like, the way you fired the weapons wasn't usually a button. Like usually it was like extending their arm straight, so it would like click, their elbow would click, and all the missiles would fire out. Like that was amazing. They just had tons of amazing things in these toys.
So it wasn't really. I mean, like yes, there's gimmicky, spring loaded, and whatever. But like one of the first things I noticed in Deleon, and you already talked about, so I want to show Rita Torres here. But you can see like in the crevice there, that little piston. When you move the arm, hold on, let me try and actually. Actually extends. Well, like it's not just aesthetics. Like so here, so like.
Yeah, it's not just it actually. Yeah, the pistons, and again, Rita Torres was sort of one of the ones that like kind of lazy. Like the bottom leg piece is just one big piece.
Yeah.
The front closure part.
And the glass armor in the front is only one piece.
Yeah, one big piece. That's what I meant.
But you know what? I'm actually okay with that because Deleon gets all flippy floppy, and those little tiny ones on the bottom there.
The thigh ones would always get lost.
Yeah.
My left thigh, for instance, was lost in the box. Like as I took them out of the box, it was not attached to the E-frame, and I was like, "Son of a bitch, did I lose that?" And then I was like, "Oh, there it is, at the bottom." But
I don't want to hear more about your left thigh, Joe.
It's important. It's important. I have to say though, I mean, they've held up really well over time, and I did not play with these. Let's put it that way. Like I played with these toys like a lot. So like, and again, keeping track of all the little pieces was difficult. But like, man, they really do hold up over time. Like I still like they all have their thumbs still. Classic G.I. Joe issue of breaking a thumb off. When you put it and you're putting their hands around, the handles for their E-frames. Like that was kind of difficult. I actually always appreciated that of the like Deleon and some of the earlier ones, like because their handles came out, so you could put that handle in their hand and then plug it back into the E-frame arm.
Yeah.
So it's a little easier, to deal with.
So Joe did a display of his, but I'm just gonna go ahead and just gonna go ahead and just.
So many.
Let's just. Oh, here we go. All right.
So many.
So.
Oh, that's another thing. I have 4 JT Marshy frames. I have like 5 of those Typhonuses. Like we have so many of these. I just put the ones that were like clean and nice still. And usually that means they're my original toys. So this is the ones that I acquired from other collectors. As you and I started acquiring collections later in life, was like those were pretty destroyed most of the time, or missing pieces like crazy.
So this is Typhonus, and this is one of the first waves here, right? And like,
he's wave 1.
I'm not a big. So again, this is supposed to be like sci-fi, and these things go out into space. So I wasn't really a big. It kind of broke my suspension of disbelief. This guy's arms are just hanging out there.
Yeah,
like, there's no vacuum seal on this suit. That guy.
Well, granted, the other ones do that too, but for some reason, that one with the skinny upper arm piece, like, just looks like more ridiculous for some reason.
Yeah,
like Phaeton, for instance, like their arms are out. JT Marsh's arms are out, but for some reason, the bulk of their arm going across the E-frame's arm going in front of their other arm, like made it more realistic.
To me. Tucked inside there, so like you can you can hide that bad boy. And again, listen. I have kids and we play with these things, and I don't have the time to go through and hook everyone's little hands in there because my big old fat fingers can't fit inside these tiny little.
Stephen lost his left handle in missiles. See, we all remember the exact specific parts that we lost, Tom. It's not weird. Oh man.
So this is JT Marsh, one of the first ones, but I don't want to talk about him so much. I want to talk about Typhonus here, right? So. What I love though is just these compartments. This always.
Oh, that was so awesome.
Always.
Also, his buggy, creepy bug legs are great. Alien legs, I guess.
Non-spring-loaded missiles that just slide out of the top. I say the word slide a lot. I feel like
you're supposed to flick the back of it.
I know, but in my life, but I'll never see these again.
Oh no, don't actually do it. I'm just saying that's how they fired.
Yeah, and again, like that's not really a huge gimmick, and like I don't know, like that's not what you sell a toy. Like, oh, it's got shoulder mount or spring loaded and stuff, and it's got this rotating radar you can spin on the top, and like I don't know, just the. And what's funny is this came out of the 90s and out of like Macross and Robotech. That's what the influence that all these took from this. And this is borderline toys, kind of like tapping into that model feel for maybe the too cool for school kids, right? But just all the stuff they dumped in this for a kids show that wasn't really written for kids either, so.
Oh no, yeah, the show was very adult. I mean, I was kind of shocked at how like adult the shows were. Again, if you didn't have these when you were young, you did, Brian, you did miss out. They're awesome.
I'm sorry to say, man. Yeah. So, and when you look at these now, you look at the stuff that's part of it now. You're like, yeah, okay, so what? Like a $40 price point toy has all those things, or but again, even back in the day, like let's say comparatively, these may have been like $15 or $20 nowadays, right? Like, the quality of plastic they went into these two, and I actually wanted to do a comparison. So, like, here's Dillion, and so this one frame of Dillion didn't fare so well here.
Oh yeah, I don't know whose collection I got. Oh, you're dropping out. I don't know whose collection I got. That I acquired clearly more than one, figure from them or E-frame from them, but every single one of them is like horribly sun damaged, just destroyed. And I got them anyway because I was like, more the better, like who cares? But I mean, like, man, I have like at least 6 or 7 over there on the floor that are like, why do I even have you still? You're just a piece of shit. Like the Napier, the cop one, the motorcycle.
Napier,
yeah. I mean, I'll put him out front. I mean, I'll grab him off the floor too, but this is a weird one. This one I didn't like as much, I guess, in frame, just the fact that he wasn't holding the arms for some reason, and he was just like in a cockpit made it less fun for me. I know it's like weird, but like,
well, so no, but like, and it's got turnaround. It's got the police lights up front because he's a resistance fighter, so his stuff is like hijacked from a Neo Sapien, which are the bad guys in this line. Neo Sapien E-frame, and it's got the police motorcycle front lights, and then on the top it's got like the police lights.
Check out this bad boy, though.
Because he was supposed to be. Yeah, there you go. That's a real resistance.
This is destroyed
E-frame right there. Yeah, that's good.
This is that's so I've got a few. This is the worst one, by the way, but like, I've got a few that are just like, wow, that's
wait.
You left those outside in the sun for a long time.
Did Exosquad go on Tsunami? No,
I don't think so.
It feels so.
You know what? It might have.
It feels exactly like what it would have fit in Cartoon Network's Toonami, not Tsunami. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
But
maybe he literally.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No. He's talking about the character. My bad. I totally misread that. Yeah. Oh. So here, but I'm getting terrible signal out here. We got bad storms, so I think it's absolutely not being able to keep up with my daggone.
I did. So I also have. I mean, I saw one spill out of your box, but we also got these.
So what I wanted to do. Be quiet, you. What I wanted to do was was later. This was called Tech Wars, right?
Oh, I just put that out. Yeah.
This was KB Toys back in the day, being like, oh, you've got a dead toy line, we'll go ahead and buy those molds and pump them out for cheap, right? So Exosquad had come off the line there, and like at first I was like, oh man, these are gonna be pieces of crap, but they didn't. They actually did a really good job comparing to the side, right? Like,
I mean, the De Leon one is comparable. The Bronski one is this, and not horrible. It's tan, but it's a very weird color. But I mean, in terms of just grabbing it, getting another E-frame that's like, quote unquote a knockoff or whatever, these were great. Like that was just more fodder.
Yeah. So this is what it looks like. Oh, it looks like trash. That's what it looks like. Good job on the camera there. Well, that's an attempt at my son shoving a G.I. Joe 25th anniversary G.I. Joe scale figure in there. So you can see like that ninja is just crushed, and that camera's terrible. So yeah. But yeah, that was what was cool about these was, as long as you didn't have the G.I. Joe in there and kind of next to it, it could be like the infantry, while you've got these cool suits going in there.
G.I. Joe even had so many frames way later.
Yeah, way later. Yeah. So you had, and you can see from Joe's lineup there too. Yeah, get those. So the Tech War were really fun because it was after that surgeons of toys where we were like, oh no, Exosquad's gone. Then KB like dumped these out, and they were cheaper too, so you're able to scoop them up, right? So, and again, if you watched the stream last time, we buy to army build, absolutely. What's not in my collection, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to be in yours either, are the wackadoo ones that came out later on, like the samurai one,
God, no.
the fire truck one, the pirate one that had like
There's one. I mean, I can pull it up because I have all the lines pulled up, but there's one that's literally JT Marsh, like gridiron, like he's a football player. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Hold on, actually, let's look at the lines real quick.
Which is kind of tragic because like it started out so strong and so good, and like by the third wave, it just took a nosedive.
Yeah, the first wave is, well, we kind of talked about Marsh, De Leon, Phaeton, and Typhonus. Then the two walkers, I guess, came out. I never had Shiva when I was young. Did you?
Oh, no, definitely not.
I have a Shiva, but he's clearly from the Sun Damaged collection that I acquired, and he's not in the greatest shape. But it's still pretty functional. It has a lot of its pieces. So yeah, yours is much nicer.
2-seater, these amazing ball and socket joint here. Not a lot of movement. Still working batteries too. And this thing is very squat, really sturdy, and it's got a handle on the back too, which acts like a radar dish, but you can actually hold the suit to move it around. What was funny is in the show, because it's space, but it's also on 3 different planets: Venus, Earth, and Mars, and like they'd show this bad boy on the Earth or on inner atmosphere, which made sense. But whenever it was flying around dogfighting space, I'm like, what are you doing? Right? But they got to sell the toys, they got to show in action. But yeah, when this thing was stomping around, I was like, man, that is so cool. And of course, Shiva, one of my favorite characters, right? General Shiva. And
he's great in the show. Yeah.
But yeah, this one's got a larger power pack back there, which I'm afraid
I forgot that was there
because it's secured in there. So the power packs were kind of a toy gimmick, and they took liberties with it in the show. Like it's a fusion pack. So sometimes they'd like they take it out and put it on something and act like a bomb. So they like a fusion bomb. Like sometimes those things have timers on them. Like, why would you have a timer on what's powering your suit? Right. So, and they would use it a lot in like bad situations. Like, oh, there's a giant thing. We only have pistols. Quick, grab all our fusion packs together and we'll, make a small nuke here. I'm like, well, I got dark real fast. Yeah. So yeah, the 2-seater
went right to Dirty Bone.
Really, really cool design on this one, and I'll let you show the Marsala one because my Marsala one, I've gone through 3, and that.
Oh, dude, Marsala. So this is actually in really good condition. Well, this was mine though from when I was a kid, but it had like these moving, telescoping guns, so you could do all this. When you pivot this missile up, it shoots. My batteries are still very good, apparently. Man, so good. This actually, my cockpit pit broke, and I glued it like literally 15 years ago, and it's still holding up. So good job, whatever super glue brand I used. But yeah, Marsala was just, this frame is just amazing. I love this guy, like so huge and cool. Had this little fan in the back that shoots out.
So it was like a drone that would deploy out, right? So you actually you have to, when you fit it in there, it tightens the spring.
Yeah, you can wind it up.
Yeah,
you have to like spin
it, and it spun out the back, and like and that was really neat. I distinctly remember where mine went because I was like, "Hey, check this out!" And it just went flying off and landed on the roof, and I was like, "You're kidding me!" Like that was it. So
all the way up under the roof, gone forever. Yeah. I love Marsala's frame a lot. It was one of my favorites to play with when I was little, and I think mainly like we were constantly like, "Oh, this guy's hurt," but I had a spare seat. Like having the extra seat in his frame. You're like, the hurt guy can go in there. Like that guy's suit got blown up. It's like having an extra seat in the cockpit like came in handy a lot when you're playing with the toys.
Do you still have the lower leg additional armor pieces that would spring out?
Yeah, they're I put them on. They're there. You can have so basically it's just a little pressure and it's meant to fly out. Or if you hit it with a missile, at the right point, it would pop the spring and it would fly out. But yeah, I still have them. But again, mainly because this one's mine. Like most of the stuff that I required from like other people later in life, like all that junk is gone.
Yeah. The other thing that I really appreciated about this line too was they had stickers. Everybody was doing stickers and decals in there too, but you got to do these battle damage like
the little bullet hole ones and stuff.
Oh man, so cool. I don't know if that's showing up there in the so you could put them wherever you wanted to on there, right? So like that was really fun to like show your pilot's cockpit being smashed up along the arm
across his gun there.
Yeah, so much fun. And like the toy line, like Playmates again, like just at their peak at that time, just kind of surged in here. I don't know, do you have a jump trooper like put together?
I do. One of the only, so I only have 3, and none of the other ones are even remotely complete. But Colleen O'Reilly, one of my favorite characters, is right here. So she's ready to go. About this character specifically, oh,
I get you now. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, an Exosquad Tsunami. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. So I guess this she didn't have an E-frame, so I went ahead and like I acquired one of Nara Burns's E-frames later, and I painted it. So I even went this far with these toys. Like, so this is what it normally looks like, you know, and this is the one I painted. But I painted it for her, so like, so she'd have an E-frame also, so she wasn't just a jump troop for my figures. But yeah, she's cool. The jump troops were cool. The thing that I would say, like, they're really easy to lose other parts. I mean, for instance, I don't have her firing missiles in there or anything, but you know, pretty cool. Awesome. Came with like external armor that you could pop off and take off. Helmets came off, like backpacks came off, and they stripped down to basically like one of the regular figures like that.
So I totally thought I had one put together, and I'm pretty sure when I was talking to my boys about like, oh yeah, man, there's these jump troopers, and like I've got like 3 of them, and I put all the doggone armor on those guys together in the backpacks and pieces, and then sure enough, like I came back and it's just bodies and pieces everywhere. I'm like, good grief. So the jump jet troopers came out a little bit later on too, and at first I was kind of underwhelmed when I saw them in the packaging. And
they're kind of a cool addition though.
So that's what they're awesome too. And once I saw them in the show, because the first time it came out in like one of the first episodes, it was just guys wearing light armor with drop pods, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. But later on,
here's like series 2.
Yeah, so later on in season 2, they started introducing the jump troopers, and what was really cool was the dramatic.
All right, jump troopers is series 3. Okay.
Yeah. So what was cool was the dramatic tension between what's basically the infantry and then like, you know, the exo frames, which they argue who's the lead. Like, no, the exo frames support the infantry. No, the infantry support us. And it's really cool to see them really being introduced on when they were invading, or I guess liberating Venus, and seeing these dudes just bounce around the battle space was very reminiscent of what Starship Troopers should have been, with, you know, how Heimland wrote the book, where they just bound up, fire off a bunch of missiles, and then get back down behind cover. And to see a show apply technology to tactics, you're just like, who are you writing this for? Because it's not for the 7-year-old or 10-year-old you're trying to sell the toys to. I was in my 15, 16s or something like that too. So I'd read Starship Troopers, and it was some of those early episodes where I was like, this is amazing. But definitely the Jump Troopers, I was like, this is one of the greatest shows I've ever watched. Like, this is just a fantastic animated show.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, the politics in the show were crazy. So, let alone like the warfare and like what they were doing and the tactics they were using. It was just like that. Just the actual idea of the show was like, wow, that's a little highbrow for something I'm watching before I go to middle school or elementary school. Or
so, if you watch Toy Galaxy, he does a history of, and it's very much like this is when it came out. This is who produced it, and like he gives the influence behind it too. And some of that, we already knew. Yeah. So, but what impressed me as a kid was I saw an ad for it And it was kind of this 90s what's it called, marketing, where it's like this rogue squadron of hot dog troopers, blah blah blah. I was like, oh, that looks cool, but so is Top Cats or whatever else it was at the time. It
Mhm.
wasn't until I saw a seriously dramatic or episode or ad for it, where it's like, hey, Earth has been taken over and it's a desperate resistance, and it had like JT Martha like, join us, help us. And I was like, wait a minute, what is this? And at that time, it had been dumped to like the 6 a.m. slot. So I would set my alarm, and this is like a high schooler, right? Who can't
Yeah.
stand waking up. I'd set my alarm for like 5:50, run out to the living room and pop in a VHS and record it every morning before I went to school, right? So,
Yeah.
I had like 5 VHSs of it, and like I was just enamored with this show.
I mean, it's a great show.
So it has anti-war themes, it has camaraderie themes running through it, and I don't mean like hokey, like, and that's the next last time Cobra would do that. Like, you would see these guys like fly out of the hangar bays, like JT, and then Dillion, and then some other one that was like painted blue, different variant, and
Yeah.
that guy would just get smoked. And there was no like projectile.
Yes.
It was just a frame blowing up, and it wasn't a cutaway. It's like that guy died. And like
That guy's dead. Yeah.
yeah, they were just
That guy blew up.
absolutely killing people, and like whole ships, were blowing, and they were not hiding the violence. It wasn't gratuitous, but they were definitely not hiding the violence of war. And to show the tension of like coming back to Earth and the resistance being mad at them, like the Exofleet abandoned us. I'm like, this has so many complex layers. And the greatest part about it, Joe, is that
Yes.
the enemy, the bad guy, Cobra Commander, Megatron, was Phaeton. And the first few episodes of him building, and that was great too. They didn't just kick off to the war. There wasn't some ongoing war. They showed you how the conflict started. And there's some empathy for that villain.
Oh
They're a
yeah.
genetically created
And and
race
and
made to be
a
slaves.
sympathetic villain in again. The
Who
depths of the writing
that?
on this show is insane.
Who is doing that then, right?
Yeah, no one.
And
Certainly
so
not G.I. Joe or Transformers or anything.
the Battle Frame Pirates. No, yeah. So there was a pirate. So
There's a pirate character.
the first antagonists of the show were the pirates, and they were like the disenfranchised, very much like the Expanse with the
Where is it?
Belter.
Oh, here he
These
is.
guys were out near Saturn, right? So the
Pirate Captain
disenfranchised.
Simbaka.
Yeah, oof, that frame is so bad. It's got a whip.
Yeah, that's one of the worst ones.
So bad.
So it's funny. I mean, so because we acquired other people's collections, like sometimes I would get the pilot. Like I have him as a pilot, but I don't have that frame. Like I have a few of those. Like I'll have the frame but not the pilot or something, and it's usually in bad condition. And but yeah, digging that guy out, I was like, what? I own this guy? And then I was like, oh wait a minute, I don't have a Z frame though.
So yeah, the pirates were the first antagonists, and then like that's kind of like, hold on, let's see. It's gray with dark red, has claws, and a triple missile launcher on the back that folds down. Yeah, so you have Phaeton.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah,
Here,
you got the character that I was talking about. So there's also a variant that came out later with yellow claws, and those were terrible. Yeah, there you go.
That is true. Yeah. Nope.
Yeah.
So
the villain, though, he is appealing to a revolution. So the Neo Sapiens aren't allowed to have weapons. They're not allowed to do anything. Very much like Japan post World War II, right? Like, hey, we are demilitarizing you. So he's a governor of Mars, and he just spends all this money and raises this huge army, right? But he is talking about like, hey, we have been enslaved since our failed revolution. Like, this is, we're not being right, so we're just gonna fight back and take it. So an amazing, and then the opening few shows, like just how they take over Earth, Venus, and Mars was, they show characters like out in a farm, and then this character comes back, James Napier, or not James Napier, I'm sorry, James Burns, like Nara Burns' brother, like, yeah, just a quality of that show was so good. But the appeal of the empathetic villain and how calm Phaeton was, and how like proud and intelligent he was, and yet later on his very Hitler-esque degradation of mentality throughout it. And they took a lot from World War II, like a lot of things of that, but very Nazi Germany-esque, where it started with nationalism and everyone was behind it. And then later on, you even have Phaeton's generals like colluding behind his back, and they install not necessarily the SS, but they make a new breed of Neo Sapiens, and that becomes like he doesn't meet with anybody except for them. And then the degradation entirely when they have the animals. And if you pull that back up, Joe, you'll see next to the jump troopers there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the animals.
Make
so like
this way. There we go. Jump troopers down here. Yeah, the animal Neocat, Neolord. Yeah.
So like the Neolords, like basically they made the Neo Sapiens were extremely hyper intelligent, and then they made something that was, they started messing with genetics more, and they started mixing animal DNA in there, and the Neolords were less intelligent and more ruthless and more tough. So they were just made to be frontline troopers, and they abandoned the E-frames. So now you have this bio weapon versus the technology of the E-frames, right? And again, they didn't really pull too many punches. They blasted those guys. So you didn't just have like a suit blowing up. It was now a thing being killed. So
here we go.
Yeah. And you can see.
Check out old football player Marcelo. I mean, Marsh, sorry. Oh, man. And Gorilla Kaz Takagi. I'm in. He's in a gorilla.
Yeah. Just.
They're bad. They're bad.
But there was no need for it. Like, they
just wanted to bring you back those main characters.
Yeah, but there was other
medieval knight wolf.
I know. It just jumped the shark toy line wise. The show kept going, but the toys, like, what are you doing?
Well, so later on though, they came back like the special release thing. Do you remember this guy transforming JT Marsh?
I did not like it. Nope, I couldn't stand it.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah. So the special mission.
Did you ever get this Exo walking Marsala?
I did. I hate it. I took it apart actually.
Yeah, it looks horrible.
But go to the special mission ones though. Yeah, right there. You'll see like
Deep Space. Yeah.
Yeah. So those were, and that's a good example of like bringing back a classic one of your main stream.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing this E-frame again, but specialized in like a different.
So I actually really like that stealth / aquatic one there. I ended up, it came with extra flippers, which is kind of funny. You'd have clip-on flippers for an E-frame. Like, why didn't you just build the specially built in, right? But I didn't mind those ones so much. Like, it didn't break the suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, this is fine. I mean, Deep Space, JT Marsh, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that, I guess.
Yeah. So those are pretty, and that, but right then after that, that's when the line just kind of took a tank there. So, Joe, who is your favorite character?
We kind of talked about this beforehand. I have. It's a hard call for me. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
it's okay. I mean, Alec DeLeon's my favorite.
Yeah.
But it's because I got him first as a toy.
Yeah, same.
It's like I mean, in the show he's a good character, but he's not like a great character or anything. Like he's just like he's there and he's cool, but he's not like, there you go. There's Alec. I think Marsala's my favorite character.
Oh, he's the Wolverine, the Snake Eyes of the show.
No, he's not.
He absolutely is.
Marsala's Snake Eyes?
Yes.
I don't think. Well, maybe. So here's the thing. I didn't like play with him that way. So again, I'm kind of going more with like the toys. Like it's really more about like the character that I kind of made up. Well, not made up, but like the way I made him be. But the E-frame, like what my favorite E-frame? Oh wait, what's your favorite character? Let's do yours first.
So character wise,
is
absolutely Thrax, and that's not his signature E-frame, but Thrax is one of the characters they brought out to humanize the Neo Sapiens, and it started on Mercury, and it was the first time I ever heard a show really use the term tactical term counterattack correctly. And there was a Neo Sapien general that out there who disagreed with the fight, and Thrax was like his right hand man, and the general Neo Sapien like led a ground force on Mercury, sacrificed himself, and like told Thrax to do the counterattack. And I was like, what am I watching? This is incredible. Like actual drama tied to conflict, like not war as a background, but drama in war. And so Thrax has this ongoing, that was the start of his character. He has this ongoing struggle with fighting a war that he believed in because it's his race, and he's like, yeah, no, we were treated like shit, and understanding that is becoming Phaeton's war. And he's one that says that, like, this is not our war, this is Phaeton's war. And he flew This, and I love like the fighter ace, the legendary, the Red Baron. It was the same thing for Thrax. He threw the signature. Whoops, this. Oh, just comes off all the time. He flew a signature red fighter, right? And they were like, there was the legends of like, oh, have you seen? There's this guy out there, he's eating up all the new guys, and so he had this prestige around him, but it wasn't abused in the show too. And so he had this moral conflict. And there's an episode where he lands, and Takagi, it's on Venus, and Takagi like corners him, and he pulls his gun out. He's like, "Stop, or I'll shoot." And Thrax just looks at him and he starts walking away. He's like, "Nobody makes you shoot. It's a decision you choose to do on your own. You have to live with the consequences." And I'm like, again, this is not.
I love that you're quoting the show.
Again, Venture Brothers is my favorite show of all time, but Exosquad is my favorite animated show. And I have to say that because I need space to give favorites to others. So no,
because both of your favorites are animated. That's
yeah. So, so I can't. It's like my boys, right? I'm like, well, Tristan's my favorite oldest son. He's my favorite youngest son.
Yeah,
everyone gets a number one for something.
Oh, I'll never have that problem.
Yeah. So Thrax, hands down, just the development, and he's a villain, quote unquote, right? He's one of the bad guys, and to show that depth for a villain, I was just like,
I'd probably have a better favorite character answer had I watched the show more recently. I definitely, for one, it was really hard to find for a very long time. After it was gone, like you have old VHSs to watch at least. Like I didn't even, have that kind of thing. So like I think I'd have a better answer. I mean, my go-to is De Leon, but like I don't really remember what he was like in the show. I just remember what I did with him, with playing with my brother and like playing with the toys. But like, and same with Marsala. So like and also I have again going into the next question. Kind of have like the same problem with those E-frames. And the only reason I'm gonna go De Leon like hands down is because to me that's an actual E-frame, even though like Marsala's is awesome and shit and everything, but it's a walker. So like I don't feel like it's the same qualifier. So like
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so like I would go Alec De Leon hands down favorite E-frame. I think of all of them, and I mean them all, like Marsh and like Phaeton and De Leon's E-frames, that first series, was really strong. They were really like very detailed and meticulous, and it doesn't lessen the next line like series 2, but like by 3, like some of the details are lost and like a lot of the moving parts aren't there, and it starts to go down in terms of like the quality of like the E-frame, so to speak. I think I'd kind of mentioned it, but like Sergeant Torres, for instance, like they started going to like their entire leg panel opened up as opposed to like having multiple little moving pieces and stuff like that. But yeah, De Leon, that E-frames, it's up there.
So
by far my favorite.
So I gotta agree, right? And again, the nostalgia bias for me is definitely I've got 3.
It's nostalgia bias, but I picked him first because he was the coolest looking. Like
yeah. So that's the other thing
so
too.
like,
something about the bright green, but the gray camo spotting on it too, like gives it that military-esque feel, even though it's ridiculously bright green. But again, you're in space, so what are you trying to blend in with? And
well, I mean, they're not always in space.
I love the chain gun. I love the 4 missiles. I love the big cannon here, and it had a belt of ammo. I don't know why the only De Leon that I have is the most banged up one. I'm pretty sure it's because they're like on a deck somewhere where I played with the good ones. But anyway, I think the De Leon frame is my favorite one. Seconded to, and I know you were just knocking it, but Torres.
Torres is good.
I like the cannon when you pull it back. So it's got the belt.
Oh yeah, that's really cool.
And then you pull it back, and it's got
mine was doing the same thing.
Ooh, that's supposed to be a spring popping out there.
Yeah, my Torres is not in great shape.
2 missiles on the side, which had hooks on them for some reason. And a shoulder-mounted cannon. And again, the cool. Somebody called Exosquad Cyberpunk, and I was like,
She had the claw missile things.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
I'm missing a finger somehow.
Even this too.
But man, really cool, that one. Like her a lot.
Now,
I mean, that's not to say like JT Marsh's is cool. Like that's a really solid friend. Actually, I think Phaeton might be my second favorite if I was to pick another one. I love the claws, and same with Nara Burns. Like I love this like this claw. Well, that's not working. This one works. I love this claw ability to like you press the button on the back and the claw can move. Like that's just awesome. Like there's so many cool like little things in these that have like really cool features. Oh, and you can even spin like I can even spin it independently in the back, like while you're doing. That's crazy.
The only problem I have with the Neo Sapien ones is an aesthetic one. So they're very organic, which is cool that you have okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like a slightly different style.
So Wolf Bronsky. Hold on.
So I don't. So again, that's a solid point. But I was gonna bring him up.
I love the burping fat guy slob of the Exosquad, and I love the dark brown, the big old missile tubes that you can launch out there. My boys, again, I doubt toy manufacturers. I'm like, what's a grappling hook going to do? My kids grapple stuff all the time. So my apology, Playmate and G.I. Joe. You're right. This was smart.
This is the knockoff one. I couldn't find my original Bronsky. I know I have him. He's just in a box somewhere.
Well, I definitely didn't take one of yours, so I don't want to appreciate
no.
Here's the one reason
we do mix toys up though.
Here's the one reason, Toy Store Guide, why he's not my favorite. It's because guns are cooler than missiles. That's it. If he had some guns on there, like missiles, it's fun to shoot out, but
he's got these little top things, and he's got some guns up
here.
here.
I think those are aiming. Honestly, if you were gonna really like look into that, that's got to be.
I'm pretty sure I've seen stuff shooting out of those.
Yeah. So everyone can take liberties that they want on the show, but we all know those are for some sort of laser guidance, right? So tracking mechanism. So
yeah, Bronsky. I like Bronsky. You know what's funny about like I don't like the weird way the legs fold and stuff. That was always like a weird thing to me. I was just like, not as cool.
Well, again, that's why the Neo Sapiens didn't really win me over with aesthetic design. So with that said, though, I have 3 Typhonus purple E-frames. So like, but I need more villains, you know. So I also have, which doesn't count as an E-frame, even though it's in the class. It's really a fighter, but Takagi.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Takagi's great.
Do you have this one?
Yeah, I got him. I do. He's up high. Hold on.
The fact that this guy folds up like those World War II Avengers, you know, the blue ones that you put on the aircraft carriers, made this really cool. I didn't love the gimmick of the pod ejecting out, though. I was like, I don't need that. But again, I'm a sucker for recoiling cannons. This other one broke off.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Oh, so good.
Thing.
Yeah, it's a little oof, man. Maybe some like I don't want to put WD-40 on plastic, but top missiles. I don't really understand why they disconnected as like a bomb, kind of like that's not how munitions work. But whatever. Maybe it's coming out from maintenance or something. So, and my boys took out the power cell, so that's missing here. And the frame, the top frame broke out. But yeah, this is still a really fun, and the colors are non-military. Like, look at that popping aqua blue with the yellow. But
yeah, but I mean, like the folding wings and like
no.
I don't know. It's just really cool.
It's like, an awesome color scheme for space sci-fi. And you're right. I never would have classified Exosquad as cyberpunk. But the more I look at the haircuts and the colors, I'm kind of like, yeah, maybe a borderline.
Well, also they're the jacks on the back of their heads, like they plug into their E-frames. I mean, that's very cyberpunk.
So if you can, I won't be able to show it on mine. So my camera has completely just crapped out on my phone. I don't know what's going on here. But if you can show that plug-in, I don't know what the toy designers were thinking, because the only way to actually get it plugged in there is to physically bend that little thin piece of plastic strand.
And I did that multiple times. All right, so here's De Leon. You can see it right here.
Yeah,
it's not plugged in, obviously, but like I did bend mine, if you can kind of see there. Yep. So like you have to get it plugged in and then into the back of his head, and then bend it in just the right spot so enough of it feeds back into the seat, the cockpit behind him.
Push the pilot out. You won't be able to close all the way with that with that design.
It was I mean, it could have been a softer rubbery plastic or something, but then they would have just broken constantly. We would just all have broken cords. I mean, but
And in the
weirdly enough,
show,
a lot of
again,
those are still in my.
they jack into their frame, so they're like the handles on the suits are kind of silly because they're controlling this thing basically with a
I think that was just their way of going like their arms are in there.
Oh, I get
don't
it.
know.
No, I get it, right? So and again, like you watch a cartoon show and you change to different creators and artists. So like sometimes there's interpretations where the arms like open up in the suit, and other times they're sliding them in. Sometimes they even showed in the show like exposed arms. So like you have to take that with a grain of salt too. But like obviously it's gonna be sealed if it goes into space, otherwise the pilot's dead. Right? It's like that didn't work out. It's, so yeah, the Nero Jack, in fact, they included that in the suits too, was really neat. So way later on, they took a weird deviation, and again, go see Toy Galaxy to understand like the whole history of the show and everything like that. Okay.
Blades. Did you ever have? I have a question.
Wait, hold on, no, hold on. Let's address blades over guns. Okay, so my boy
and Brian are best friends.
Stand behind, the blades over guns piece.
No, I mean, I love Snake Eyes, but come on.
No, it's awesome, right? So
the soldiers are better.
Our favorite Joy Toy figures are the elves with the gun spears. Highly impractical weapon, but when you can easily imagine someone who would like use like a gun kata type philosophy to put that in there, right? So like I actually thought, and they would pull it out every now and then. You'd see them use some sort of utility weapon or like an energy sword. Like Rita Torres actually in the later seasons. So I'm going to go back when you said like, oh, you've got to like show the main characters and figure it out instead of stupid gridiron, whatever. In the later series, deep in the season, they all upgraded their frames. So Rita Torres actually had like an energy weapon.
That would have been awesome.
Jason Marsh wins Supernova. Alex DeLeon did like a chain lightning thing, and Wolf Bronski just got like an extra shrapnel. Like he basically got like a dual.
He just got more bombs.
Yeah, it was like bomblets, right? So
just like, more bombs.
I'm like, bro, cluster munitions have been around for like, come on. So they could have easily done some sort of upgrade and given a blade to Rita Torres. Like that's actually canon.
Yeah.
They could have had like an accessory to come out there. So yeah, it would. You're right, though. It would be
in the cartoon. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Some sort of melee and ripping out of their suits. So they have claws. So,
correct me if I'm wrong, but Nara Burns, like she co-piloted Marsala's friend. Like I even have her in there.
Yeah,
like,
Yeah, and then she got her own one-seater. It was called a Recon One because it was much lighter, and like you actually saw it applied as sort of a recon suit. When they were attacking the pirates, the infantry landed in pods, and she was out there in a very light. And you can look at the chassis, like, it's very bubbled and very glassy to make it look like less armor and more exposed, and give her more of like that, I guess 180-degree kind of pivot. But she was out there, and it's very small and fast deploying. So I thought that was a really cool concept. And again, purple and blue. I never would buy a purple and blue thing applied to military, but my eyes are just like, no, it's fine. It's like a space jockey kind of paint.
Yeah, I don't even see it that way. I mean, whoops. Well, there goes a missile.
And that's how we lost that missile.
And that's how we lost that missile. It's really cool toys.
So later on, and again, I don't want to get into the history of whatever, but they
you're talking about the show. You're not talking about the history.
I'm not. So underneath the Exosquad franchise name, they snuck out of the blue, and I only recognized this as a kid. I'm not a big anime guy, and never was. And Exosquad, for those of you who like anime or like American animation,
are you talking about like the Macross stuff that came out?
It straddles the middle of American and Eastern animation, right? Exosquad's right in the center. And so they were like, well, we got this other show in Toy Line with all sorts of crazy mechs in it. So why don't we just introduce some Macross here, some Battletech and Robotech, right? So you've got some big old missile dudes here.
Yeah, I've got one of those gorilla ones with like the claws. What's that?
So someone actually,
I have a red one. That's it. Though. I don't have the gray one.
They were just slamming all sorts and this.
Yeah, what the hell is that? I think it's Macross. Right?
So in canon, what this is these are giant aliens that are invading Earth, and like, you know, Macross goes out and fights these things. They had the pods, they had all this stuff, and like when I saw this, I was like, I think I recognize that. And later on, I watched some Robotech or Macross, or whatever you want to call it, and I was like, man, they really abused that license. Just squeeze that in under like that is not at all.
I mean, they were just looking for toy molds that they could use.
Absolutely.
You know.
And I do have, and you know how here it is. So I do have this one. This one was pretty sweet in talking about toy designs. It came with these really nice cannons in the top here. The cockpit actually opens up.
And yeah, that one's cool. Yeah.
And these big claws. And what's really weird about it, though, is that these come off for some reason. They just pop right out. So I guess if you wanted to, you could like put the arms up there. I don't know. I never understood why these slid out. It is a miracle with as much as we played with these. And honestly, this was a toy that I was like, I debated just dumping so many times. So I'm like, I don't care about this thing. I have no connection to it. In my reality for my toys, this doesn't really fit in with anything, right? So I almost dumped this several times. In fact, a dog chewed on this one. The down there, but I kept it, and now I'm so glad I did, because this wonky design fits in with when, and again, I blend toy lines all the time. This real destruction action. This thing is fun.
You can actually break it.
Yeah, for Wolverine to jump on and rip up. Again, Rocket fits in there. So
yeah,
it's a fun toy. So here's, I want to show you another quick hold on, I'm not quite.
What are you doing over there?
Oh man, so this is one drawer of 3 that I own, right? And I kind of accidentally army built the Radar X.
Kind of accidentally?
Well,
that's a lot.
Hold on. All right, there we go. I got 5.
Yeah.
And he's named Radar X, and not a single one of them has a radar piece on him.
So, that makes sense. Why would you do that?
Yeah, but it's a cool, you know, and again, I'm a sucker for guns over missiles, even though in the future we'll probably be fighting with all missiles. It's got these awesome quad cannons on there, and size-wise with G.I. Joes, this would be pretty, it's maybe too small for a pilot to go in there, but it's a pretty good robot suit to walk around your battle space. So these are neat. And I actually got these last set of these for 4 for like really cheap. It was like $15. So I immediately bought them off eBay.
Oh yeah,
I was like, yeah, exactly. I was like, why not have 5 of those for, you know? So
why wouldn't I want 5 of those?
So yeah, so that's the weird Robotech Macross kind of tie in there. But really fun to have those things, and you can, and you know, comparatively scale wise, you know, they're to the E-frames.
Oh yeah. And also in terms of like having something, again, if you're playing with actual specific characters and you don't, you know, like having something that looks like an E-frame that's flying next to JT Marsh and you blow that up 17 times, great.
Yeah.
You know, we suffered devastating losses. Who died? No one. They were all just those drone things.
The only other, I don't know if you have this one. So this guy,
I don't actually. I was going to mention that. So let's add this back in. Check out my toy cam. Livonis and Maggie Weston don't have them.
So I've got Weston. She's pretty banged up. But
these are 2 of the only ones I never acquired, really.
The Livonis one is interesting. So in canon, it's larger than this too, and it never really showed this gimmick that's on the back here. You can see in that picture, but it drops open in the bottom, and it's supposed to be like a troop back there.
Yeah, it's like a transport.
Yeah. Woe be the one soldier this is hauling around in a 2-seater E-frame, though.
Hey, just lay back in this coffin.
The 2 pilots
eventually you'll be deployed.
Yeah, 2 dudes being like, you ride the belly. Like, what? You know, like,
yeah.
What rookie Neo Sapien just came out of the brood? And they're like,
what a sucker.
And then here's the other great part about it, too, is so the soldiers that will go in there, and then right next to it, I got to be careful because as you've seen all night, all the spring-loaded stuff just fires out.
Just keeps shooting. Yeah, firing as fires off.
So right next to where the troop goes is a little mine deployer. So the troop is going to come out right where the
That's
landmines come
very safe. It's very safe.
So while you're running out of the battle space, there's landmines skipping past you. You're like, like what were they thinking?
Just flying past. Watch out! Don't worry about that one.
If they just blow up tanks, maybe. The
It even
only
had that
thing
compartment on the underbelly too. I never even noticed
it's
that.
got a little command. This was actually really cool. So it's got a little command post back here.
Oh, so those stickers aren't in there in the picture.
Fold out antenna. So that actually was a pretty cool feature because
that's really cool.
You can imagine a commander using this and then dropping down for a quick command, orientation of the battlefield kind of thing, like a commander's update.
He's the one in the troop deployment area.
So let us catch you up to speed because you've been in the belly of this thing the whole time with no one knows.
What's going on in the battle? Shut up, sir.
Probably covered in vomit because of the you've been,
yeah.
So no, this was really fun, and it took.
Maggie was a big character, but I never had her.
So I've got her over here.
But in the show, she was kind of big, like she was constantly doing stuff.
So the squad always went out together, right? But if you look at that suit, it's very utility based. It's very
she's like the mechanic.
Yeah, and that was her character too, right? She's like this chop shop kind of tough girl. And again, man, it's really hard to pick a favorite character because I remember episodes later on where they did like a mutiny, basically, or no, they weren't doing a mutiny. It was her and Takagi were separated from the squad, and they basically followed the admiral into this ambush, and like it really focused on those two characters. And I was like, man, this is really cool. But anyway,
she's got a towing thing. She's got a diagnostic station. Look at this.
I always thought it was a rake. And I was like, why would you put a rake in anything that's so dumb?
She's a plow as well as
yeah, no. A towing device though makes a ton of sense. Like now that I've had more like military application, I'm like, oh yeah, things get stuck and dredged, and like imagine a down E-frame when you're gonna tow it out of that wreck, right? But it's very bright, and it's very aliens mech suit kind of thing, right? And that's kind of how in my brain I've never been able to use this as a combat mech. It's always on the flag or always in a motor yard helping out.
Yeah, that's how that should be though.
Yeah. And it's got a cool rear bay too. I really like the standing mechs with the rear base. Like, yes, the troop deployment thing is silly in the other one, but the rear bay back here with like a little utility arm, and this actually swings out here so you can have your character. Why am I not like putting her in there? I don't understand. Let me describe this instead of showing you the toy. You like toys? I'll talk about the toy. How about that? It came in a, what am I doing? So anyways, like you can put the pilot back there, and like there's even space to like do some work on your parts or like that. So really, and the canopies in these things though, for all my big suits except for Shiva, all the canopies have snapped off because they were fastened by two little tiny nubs on thin pieces of plastic that extended the suit, and if one of those little pieces broke off, like so.
Like I said, I glued my Marsala canopy, and I'm amazed that it's still I'm amazed it didn't re-break like immediately, because again, it's not like I stopped playing with it, like I just kept playing with it. So I'm kind of mind blown that it never broke, but and that it still holds up, but like, man, good job glue.
Poor Roe Beast.
So series 3, aside from Takagi, the Exo Fighter, and the Neo Fighter, which we haven't shown, but Thrax's Neo Fighter, like, man, bad line.
So, all right, I did have the Draconis one. Go ahead.
Draconis is okay. Everyone else is like,
kept his pilot. He's okay, but again, like the giant shooting fists, I can't stand two things: giant shooting fist and chest guns. I hate chest guns. Like one of my least favorite Gundams has the compartments open up and it's chest guns. I'm like, this is so dumb. So the blood red of that suit and the black, awesome. But it shoots out those shoulder mounted things.
Maybe this is who Steve
it's a giant bolo. Right?
Oh, so yeah, I see that in this picture.
Bolo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, what? Like,
it's not gonna work.
So
spoiler alert, it's not going to work.
If they're fighting those chicken-legged ATSTs from Star Wars, they could bolo that and like knock it over. But really, I mean, like that breaking the suspension of disbelief are the ones that I purged. Anything where I could mend, kind of tie into real military application, I kept all those ones. But yeah, Draconis, unfortunately, I remember ditching that guy. I don't even think I sold him. I think I just ditched him. Like I went through a very hard purge of toy collections at one point in time, and like that dude, I remember he was in the side bin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now the arm is pretty cool. The arm cannon is this weird, very cyberpunkish blade gun weapon. You can't really see it. Right?
Again, maybe this is what Steven was talking about earlier, because when I showed him Phaeton, he was like, no, not that.
No, I don't know.
Or maybe his was sun damaged like mine.
So maybe I'll go back and get him again. Now the Resolute carrier that you keep showing there too was actually like these mini lines they came out with, and they came out with 2 very small little play sets with like micro fighters and stuff.
Yeah, I got that at the very bottom here.
Yeah, and I had both of those too. They were really cheap and like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, again, not to scale. Actually, one of the reasons I never got the Exo carrier or whatever you want to call it, is because it wasn't in scale with the rest of the toy line. So I was like, not interested. So I never got it for that.
I regret doing that because the Resolute for me, you've got Battlestar Galactica, you've got the USS Enterprise, you got the Resolute. Like it is absolutely this quintessential sci-fi flagship, and like they just, I don't know, like they gave it character in the show, not as much as some of the other sci-fi you could quote, like the Enterprise, but like the Resolute. You heard that name over and over and over again. It was as important as the Squad, and I thought that was so cool. Like Admiral Winfield never left the ship, and that's why I like that show again. I will talk to death about that show, but Admiral Winfield wasn't like this swear god monster beef dude. He was an old man who had like what's his name? He reminded me of the guy from MASH, like the old surgeon, from MASH's voice, and like he was very short-tempered.
My MASH memory isn't very good.
And he stayed on the ship though, right? He never.
Yes.
So and again, like I don't know, like so I almost bought that Resolute, and I regret not doing it now because yes, we play with all our toys. But that would be one of the ones that would sit in a shelf somewhere, or like I would hang on a ceiling and be like, there's a Resolute, man. Like,
yeah. Trying to make room for Thrax here.
Fair enough. The Aliens was a loader, but I grabbed the wrong one. The Aliens was a loader, but it was the same concept. You have an ecto frame that goes around you, and it's a power suit, and you move around in it. Maggie Weston's was very much piloted, like she sat in that thing, which again deviated from the other ecto frames, right? But yeah, and then I did want to show. I don't know if you had these two either from the Tech War line. So they made 2 Dillions. That's how great that one is, right? They made a blue one.
I did not get the blue one, but it's probably because it's blue.
And then it is a bold blue. Like that is a dark blue there. And then the other one that I got, but I think I got him because he went on sale for like $3. Was Sean Napier's, but in a dark green. So he's in like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember the dark green Sean Napier for some reason.
Yeah. So yeah, Joe, that is Exosquad, and like I think I could just go on and on about like the show and the characters and like times we use the E-frames and stuff, but I don't think we have the time or bandwidth for that. I think we'd break.
No, we don't. I just wanted to show Thrax's ship for a second, but
the Neo fighter.
Oh no, I mean that's literally it. Keep talking.
No, but so I think we're going to add a segment to the end of these two, where Joe and I bond over toys, and obviously this will bring people to watch this too. So we're kind of going to showcase like a small thing at the end, and it'll be what you bought, what you got going on.
Oh, toys of the week.
Oh yeah, okay, toys of the week,
or whatever we call it. Actually, this is very on point. God, Jesus.
It is on point because we just lose all the crap too.
It was this blast away frame.
Oh, I forgot to show that gimmick, man. It's such a good toy line.
I know. Anyway.
So the silly thing about that one though is it kind of like, well, no, actually it doesn't make sense. It wasn't silly. It transformed. It bends down in half here.
Oh yeah, well to land or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So it again, like in a spaceship, you don't have a lot of, you don't have a lot of space in a spaceship. So this doesn't take up space. And then when it deploys, you kind of launch out. Now, the one silly thing I would say is these extending legs. I'm like, hey, no. But VTOL is better than a launch strip they have to take off of, right? So even the Vipers on the Battlestar Galactica had to like have a whole bay to get that speed and launch out. So if you have something that can do a vertical lift, you just save yourself from your airfield. So sorry to get tactically nerdy on you, but those kind of things but those are the kind of
details with your tactical nerdiness.
Those are the kind of details that I love about Exosquad when they hold true and they don't go all silly like some of the animal ones or whatever. Yeah. But anyway, go ahead, man. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Oh sorry. Toys of the week, or whatever we call this segment. Here we go.
Toys of the week. Toys of the week. Hey, look at that thing, man!
Look what my friend sent me for Christmas. His name's Dom.
In April,
and I just got it for reasons that are not my business to say. But look at that guy. Goodness gracious,
dude! I don't even have one of those suits from Toy Toy.
This is ridiculous, right there. And this is very fitting with what's going on.
Oh,
can you tell us more about your toy display? How was it made?
Do you mean the one that's sitting with all the?
Actually, Dominic made that. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a light and some boards behind it, but I mean, that's actually just a building that Dom made for me. I guess it's kind of a garage.
It is maybe like a parking garage underneath and then a landing
or landing. Yeah. So. I kind of change that out every time, so there'll be other stuff there. But anyway. Yeah, this thing, awesome Joy Toy, kind of picking up where Exosquad left off, and this thing is really, really cool. It's got kind of like gorilla monkey arms.
Man, look at that! I didn't think they were that extended.
And they're very like weird because the hinge is in the middle, so it's like kind of a weird pivot point. But like other than that, really cool. Love that although they do provide the handlebars for him to grab onto there. I don't need to do it, and I can close it up while he's still holding his rifle because I'm old and I'm lazy now, and I don't want to do all that work.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that he can just kind of sit in there. I can just kind of sit him in there, like ready to go and jump out and have his rifle ready, and not like necessarily put his hands. It is cool that they're there for me to do that if I want to, but like, yeah, man, this thing is really cool. The plastic feels like a little. I don't know, like on that lighter brittle side, but it doesn't feel brittle or anything, but it's also brand new. So like, I don't know how well it would hold up like over time. We'll see.
So I don't own any of those Joy Toy mech suits yet. They're not, I'm not trying to cheat my gift or whatever, but they have a higher price point, right? So for me, I was like, but I was like, if one of us is going to get it, I'm going to get him this for Christmas. Yes, that's a Christmas gift. I'm pretty sure he just got it.
I did. I got it this week. It's a toy of the week.
I was gone for 2 months. I think that counts. But they've got a new one coming out where it's got a bubble dome, and it looks like the Biohazard Big Brother kind of thing, or the daddy, really Big cool. Daddy. And I was like, man, and they've got a maintenance one. And I love utility things and the support logistics background, the maintenance background, all my fighting combat stuff. So like, it's funny that again, my maintenance team was my number 2 choice for my top 10 toys of 2021.
Also, again, getting a GI Joe sized figure into one of those things difficult, but I mean they figured out a really good way to do it. This thing's not huge. It's not like it's towering over, the Exosquad frames. Like it's kind of.
I can hear the plastic. I can hear the hollowness of plastic over.
Again, it's a lighter.
Yeah. No, I was not expecting that.
It's still. It doesn't feel like I'm going to break it or anything. So like I'll say that, but it's definitely a lighter, thinner plastic. But he's somewhere like halfway between one of the walkers and like an E-frame, I would say. Like I know he's not really side by side, so it's a little deceptive, but kind of like cool. Yeah, really cool. Cool toy. Love it.
So, my boys and I do these are the toys that are leading up to the top, 10 of 2022 or whatever. So we just did one a little while ago of the figures we bought. That's 2022. So I don't want to break that because we'll, yes, Stephen, the newest white and gold iron wreck. Yes. So good. But I think it's actually a 1/25th scale. Which again,
so you got to be with Joy Toy. You got to pay
but with
attention.
Big Macs, I don't care because
no, you can fudge it.
The guy in there, so
125th to 118th is not a huge difference.
When you don't put the people side by side. So if I have a mech again, he's walking around. So not to ruin what we bought for 2022, because my boys, when I said I was streaming tonight, they're like, "You never stream with us anymore." I'm like, guys, I just did one like 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to show a 2021 figure instead of 2022, but I got another Swoosh.
Cool.
So again, I don't know what's going on with my signal around here, but it's just absolutely horrible. So I apologize that I'm using the camera like this too. But he's not a ninja, so at first my boys are poo-pooing him, but he's just wearing a gi. And I had quality control issues with the 2 ninjas I bought from the Swoosh. The crotch popped out in one, the other guy's hand never stays in, but this guy is great. It's very rubbery material, so it doesn't get in the way of his legs bending around. The gi is rubbery as well. And one of the best things about it, Joe, the reason why I didn't get him earlier on is because he went on sale. I got him for freaking $8, dude. So the Swoosh was they only have like the Sand Ninja, and then this guy left. And I was like, I don't need another ninja because I've got 5 hand ninjas and then 2 Swoosh. So this guy is very unique, a very Ryu-esque kind of character. So
also a yellow belt, so you know he's got some skills.
But barely. He's one step above.
He's got some skills, bro.
Rhino sword, see, a blade. Fair enough. No, Brian.
All right, fine.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I like it. Actually, my one takeaway from that figure that you got me, that suit, was that there wasn't like a big gun. It was just like a little pistol and a giant sword, which I like. But also, I would rather him have a big gun.
And I don't think it's a 2020. And to fit into Brian here with his blade fetish, I did get one of the Zaku Gundam suits, Bandai release. So again, and it's got the axe, which is really pretty sweet because it can clip on his back here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, man. And again, like the early 2000s, like I think it was actually 2000. Bandai pushed out all those kind of 4-inch, right? So really cool. I love that they're releasing these. $20 price point for a figure, but the plastic's really nice. The joints move so sweet. And 08 MS Gundam is my favorite anime. So
this is
I'm always like cherry picking. Oh, okay, go ahead.
About those, the new ones, although they are 125th, they like made it specifically so you could fit the 118th figure so inside the cockpits.
No way.
So they kind of like recognize that like they're making something that like, you know, is a little less wanted by people that collect the GI Joe size.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they make it smaller because it makes sense, and they still want to give you a pilot. But then they're like, "Hey, if you want to put a GI Joe in there, you can." Kind of thing. They're kind of putting more room in the cockpit.
They want to make a larger scaled suit without actually increasing the toy size, which would be an astronomical price, which no one would be able to really afford.
Right.
So that you shrink down your scale so you can have a cooler suit. But that is,
but you can still put the larger figure in there if you wanted to.
All right. Well, I'm definitely.
And then the only other thing I got this week is a Monkey came in. I got a little Thundercats, a little monkey. He's a good guy. He looks
not
good.
as cool as Slythe, but really cool.
No, it's not. But the sculpting on this guy is super sweet. He doesn't come with a ton of weapons, but he comes with the ones that matter, and he's really cool. Like this guy a lot.
I saw Slythe go on sale on either Big Bad or something like that. I almost put him in my shopping cart because I love that toy, but I didn't want to break the seal. But I did finally break the seal in the TMNT. I put Triceraton in my pre-order.
Oh yeah,
he was the first Ninja Turtle I bought. My brother bought Leonardo, and I got Triceraton, this bright orange. And again, knowing none of the canon behind it, and then later in the comics and being like, I was right to buy him. He's really cool. So so yeah, I had to. And what I don't love though is I think I got the NECA one. So it's NECA and it's got the cell.
Oh, you got the NECA Triceraton.
I think so. Because I don't think Super 7.
No, they did.
Yeah, I did Super 7. You're right. No. Because I didn't go to Super 7's site because it was like, I don't remember what I was like. Why am I paying that much more for Super 7? So I went to Big Bad Toy Store and pre-ordered from Big Bad Toy Store.
We can do a whole episode on turtles, but
I can't. I don't even have one, and I pre-ordered one. That's all I got.
I mean, I can talk about turtles for a long time. But
so I can bring out the old ones and do a side by side.
That's what I'm saying.
So I can bring out the old ones and can do a side by side.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, but NECA, for some reason, even though NECA had been pumping it out for quite a while, I was like, yeah, it's really cool, but like, they were back then. They were really hard to find, and you couldn't find them anywhere. Like, they're kind of easier to get now, but like, it was really impossible to find. I was like, well, I don't want to start getting a toy line that I can't like acquire. Like, that's just the last thing that interests me right now. But like when Super 7 started doing it, it was like the updated versions of the Playmates toys, and I was like, it's just in that perfect like Motu Classics like mentality kind of thing. And I was like, that's what I want. So like I just went all in. I knew, well, you're aware. But I'm still not all in though. Like I still pick and choose. Like, I just go like, I want this turtle and like this character, but the other two, and I do that every wave. So like, I don't think maybe the first wave I have them all, but I don't think anything after that I have every character. But Triceradon, right away.
You guys thought you came here for Exosquad, but this is quickly turning into a change.
Hey, this is Toys of the Week, and we're done.
All right. Anyway. Steven says do a stream on Turtles. So, hey, Steven, that is totally doable. Joe can do all the new Super 7 ones, which I'm so jealous of.
Not all.
I can bring out the classic 90s ones and then the 2012-ish series that my boys resurged on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's there you go. We can do an hour change on Turtles.
Cool.
So maybe we'll do that soonish. Anyway, yeah. That's been Backyard Battles for this week, I guess.
It is. Hey, thanks to those who jumped into the stream tonight. I know I had some camera problems here. I feel like every episode it's like someone's late, someone's camera doesn't work.
There's running around. No one's ever been late.
No, all right, not late per se. Just an hour. So we're working through it. So I really appreciate those who jumped in and caught the stream, and I really appreciate those who watched this afterwards on YouTube. Where we'll drop all these. We'll follow up on the comments there as well. And so we'd love to hear your other ideas of what you want us to go through. We have a lot of stuff that we can actually between Joe and I, there's a lot of collections, a lot of ground here we can cover. So Turtles, I'd love to do a Ninja Turtle one too. So and we'll do this not next week, but the following week, which is
you're looking for the date?
In April. I completely blanked on like where I am in reality. So hey, I've been Don from Backyard Battles, and you've been
Joe,
a guy, and we really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Thanks.